Welcome to Bulela Podcast. My name is Inutu, and on today's episode, I have the good fortune of being able to sit down with a young, talented visual artist from Zambia. In this episode, you will gain insight on what it takes to run a visual artist business slash photography business in Lusaka. I hope you are inspired. I was, and I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down with my guest Harti. He will tell you about his work, what he enjoys, some of the challenges he faces. Please check the description box for more information on where to find my guest, as well as previous Bulela podcast episodes. Thank you and enjoy. Hello, welcome to Bulela Podcast. I'm Inutu, and today I have a very special guest. He's going to share with us some insight in his profession, and I hope that you will end up loving his work just as much as I do. Hati, could you please tell my listeners and my viewers who you are and what you do?
Hi, Inutu. Thanks for having me on your podcast today. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, absolutely. Finally, we did it.
Finally, yeah. So, I'm Harti, and I'm a photographer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a photographer based in Lusaka.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So I have to ask this. I ask this question to all of my guests. Okay. Yeah. Are you a Bulela podcast fan? And if you are, which one of all the many episodes that I put out has been your favorite?
Okay. I've watched 2 of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I watched the Chandambao one and the Namkola episode as well.
Okay.
Those were favorite episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And they enjoyed them actually. It was quite an amazing conversation that you had, especially with Chandamba. I enjoyed that one a lot because it was different perspective of how I was trying to analyze the music industry and the challenges it's been facing personally. I enjoyed that episode. It was good.
Okay, well, thank you. And Namkolo, obviously, she's a fellow photographer. So I'm very happy that you watched that one. I'm sure she will be happy to hear this too. Okay, if I look down as usual, it's because I have my questions and I have my handsome guest's face in on my screen. So I would like to be able to make eye contact. It's not because I'm ignoring everyone. So up next, what was your career path before you decided to get into photography? Or what is it that you do apart from photography? I mean, you could share that, but mainly the focus of this conversation is your work in photography.
Oh, okay. I currently work as an aircraft engineer, and I also do photography as well. So it's quite a balance. And yeah, so far so good. Yeah.
How do you manage that, balancing the aircraft engineer aspect of your profession, as well as the photography? How, I mean, like I mentioned, no, I haven't mentioned this. Sometimes on your timeline, you are very kind and generous to your followers, and you share photographs of aircrafts, different aircrafts at Kenneth Kaunda International, I think. So how do you strike a balance between the two? Because they're very different.
They're very different. Yeah.
But I think you found a way.
Yeah. I think even from the onset when I started, I think it was just I used to do it just as
I lost you there.
The thing I was passionate about. I used to take a lot of pictures before I went full-time professional with it. Okay. So, hello.
Yeah, I lost you there. I lost.
Okay.
Maybe okay. It's definitely the internet. I don't know how we fix that. You might have to.
Okay.
Or we could. It's a bit of a pity. Just to avoid.
It's fine. I can get it now. Yeah.
Okay. So just repeat the answer.
Oh, okay. So as I was saying earlier on is when I started, like the thing that pushed me into getting into photography was because I used to take a lot of pictures initially at the airport when I was working. So that interest started growing, as I was getting so much into it, I found the balance of how I can do it away from work, and I also can do it at work as well. So
Okay.
it was quite an easy balance as I was getting into it professionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that you say that because you were already sharing photos.
Yeah.
Harti is also on Instagram and on Twitter. I follow him on both of those. So if you check the
Yeah.
description box of the video, or if you're listening, you will find links of his socials in the description box. Okay, let's move on
Yeah.
to the next question. Okay. Do you think your upbringing and roots influence your work as a photographer? How exactly would you say they do that?
Um, I think with photography and what the kind of photography that I've focused on mostly, I think it's based on the music that I used to listen to growing up. My father used to play a lot of live music at home.
Okay.
Yeah, our old school parents love to play a lot of reggae in the house. So
Yes.
you'll be amazed. Like maybe there are some live albums that
Oh,
would play over the weekend over and over again.
yes.
Yeah. So that kind of piqued my interest even when I was getting into photography as well.
Brilliant.
After going, I think to my first concerts,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I was captivated with what was happening there. I
Okay.
was so I was so impressed with the fact that people were actually singing along to Zambian music of that magnitude that time. And
Okay.
when I got back, I was telling my friends about it. I was like, "Hey, dude, I went to this thing and it was amazing, but I didn't have the content that I wanted to show the people. Like, okay, dude, I saw this, but I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it to you because it was amazing."
Okay.
So afterwards, that's how come I was like, you know what, I do photography. Let me try and tap into this niche as my thing. And from there, it's been upwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
the story and the connection to
mm,
your parents listening to live records and your love for music,
yeah,
because if you look at a lot of your photography, I mean, I mentioned the aircraft, those are once in a while,
mm,
they're not so prominent
yeah.
anymore, but you do a lot of
Yeah, not anymore.
fantastic,
Yeah.
yeah, you do like lots of
Mm,
fantastic photos, like the last couple that you've uploaded. You've got Shoma Josie, and she's there, she's in her element, and it's just quite impressive.
yeah,
The colors, the light. I pretend I know about
yeah.
photography, but I do not. But they just all look very nice. Okay, so people listening
Yeah,
and
thank
watching
you.
this, please check out Hati's Instagram. The links will be in the description. um so, do you feel you want to work more as a photographer, or you are busier than you can handle, or like maybe this time of the year
Yeah,
is better for you? How do you want more work, or you're okay as a photographer currently, or you've got the work that you can manage?
definitely. Definitely. On the business side, I want a lot more work. Definitely. Yeah, so it's good as times, and I think the only key is trying to pace yourself and see how much you can handle
Mm-hmm.
and what challenges that you can take up. So as long as I can pace myself and I can take up the challenges which are coming up,
Yeah.
I think I am always open to new challenges and new work.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I love
Mm.
it on the business side, definitely more for of
Yeah.
course, photography that pays
Yeah.
you. Hello,
Yeah.
definitely. Let's
Yeah.
hope.
The business. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Of course, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
do you think there's a difference between well, there is definitely. What do
Yeah.
you think? No, what do you think is the difference between a professional photographer and any other hobby photographer? I think you just mentioned it before, the business part, but
Okay.
I'll let you give us a
Okay. 'Okay. Okay. 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 Okay.
response.
I think with. I with the hobbyist photographer, most of them they are doing it's just a once in a while thing that they're doing, and they don't necessarily get into the technicalities of the business side of it. And if you're a professional photographer, you have to be first you have to be creative, and you also have to understand your client's vision, so that it's not lost in the creativity that you're trying to interpret. Yeah. And also you have to ensure that that client that you're having is a returner client. So now trying to balance the creative side and the business side of it is where it differentiates between the hobbyist and the business photographer. And also understanding the assignment as well. Okay. Yeah. I think so it's quite different.
No, I think very good responses, because they're on its own, like that little, that little note. If I made a clip and I said 3 tips for an aspiring photographer, and that is what I would include, because it says it all, even when I look at other people's work, they're like, okay, I do this, I do that. But as soon as they decide they want to make money from it, or they want to be more professional, then they almost always have to up their game exponentially. So I appreciate you mentioning that. From your point of view, what makes a good picture or good photograph? Yeah, like, so we're getting into the artistic, creative angle.
Personally, as visual artist, what makes a good picture? Well, what makes a good picture is the conversation that it brings out from different people. So that's, as long as I can invoke a certain kind of conversation from different people. For me, my job is done as an artist. Because I remember I should have been in 2019. I was part of an exhibition somewhere, and I printed out this image. I call it Hope. It's quite a good image. I'll show you after the interview.
Okay.
I love that image, and it was printed, I think, should be quite a huge canvas, right? So I was privileged. One day I was at the theater. And 2 people were having a conversation about the image and about how they were interpreting it, and they didn't know that I was the photographer for the image. So I was right there. They were having the conversation, and this lady interpreted this image in her own way, and the other gentleman as well interpreted this image in another way. And then I was there. I was like, you know what? This is actually what we live for. It's for people to have their own different story about images. For you as a photographer, if you can achieve that, and you give that kind of conversation to people that they can relate to something at that level, then my job is done as a visual artist and as a photographer.
Brilliant. I love it. I love your responses. So I was just like nodding and trying not to say a word, because it's just perfect. I was talking, I mean, I do a lot of music video reactions, and people sometimes are like, no, sometimes reactions are too harsh, or not mine, because I have a policy. My policy is to only react to the work that I like, because I want to put out a positive vibe in the world. There's been one, I even said when I was making the reaction, I was like, I never like to do this, but this is just so bad. But I love,
what was wrong in that video?
Exactly. What?
What was wrong in that video that you didn't like?
Okay, first of all, it was an animation. And just the animation was just bad, And I mean, I think Nigerian artists and a few other people who've done animations.
That was part 1 of my interview with Harti. Stay tuned and listen to part 2, as well as catch up on the rest of the content here on Bulela Podcast. Bulela Podcast is on all of your favorite podcast listening services, as well as on YouTube. All links can be found in the description box. Thank you very much for staying around and listening to this interview. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment on Bulela Podcast social media, on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter. All links are available in the description box. Thank you.